So hello, everybody. Welcome to our panel, Embracing the Industry's Future, the Role of New Media. And before I start this, I just want to get a show of hands. Who wants to be here in 20 years, I mean, in this industry and making money and enjoying themselves? That's a great show of hands. Awesome. And who else loves music? Oh, wow. Great audience. Okay. So we're going to start this out with, intros. And my name is Michael Mercer. I wear too many hats, unfortunately, but it's all good. I'm the Director of Marketing for Elite Audio Video Distribution, and I also write for various publications, including Positive Feedback, as well as Daily Swarm. And I put this panel together to discuss, kind of taper off what we started last year, which is how do we shape a future for this business, meaning how do we engage new blood? And how do we do that in a way that promotes sonic integrity and the love of music and basically keep everyone here in business while enjoying ourselves? So since I'm not a rock star and we're not rock stars, I'm going to pass it, do some intros. Mr. Schaffer?
Hi, everyone. I'm John Schaffer. I'm with Wadia Digital.
Is that it?
Hi, I'm Peter Wohelski. I am label manager for the Americas at Beatport.com. We are the world's largest digital music store for DJs. We carry predominantly electronic dance music, hip-hop, other more DJ-driven forms of music. I'm a 20-year music business veteran. I've done everything from soup to nuts, A&R to marketing, publicity. I was director at A&R in the mid-'90s at Astorworks Records, signed Fatboy Slim, the Chemical Brothers, a handful of other great, really notable electronic acts.
Hi, I'm Steve Silberman from Audioquest.
I'm Jude Mansilla. I'm the founder of a site called headfi.org, where we discuss high-end headphone audio, personal audio, computer audio. Most people know us for our high-end headphones discussions.
Dave Clark from Positive Feedback.
Dave Clark. Lee Weiland from Locus Design Cryo Parts.
Okay. So now that was nice and short. Thank you for not soapboxing everybody. I tried to make this panel very varied because our industry is based around music and the love of music and reproducing it at home. And I don't think there's been, let's call it a sea change in the way we find, in the way we listen, in the way we share music, and it's just basically where we are now. There's all sorts of things we can do to engage the young people. And I understand everyone, like I said last year, poo-poos MP3 and all that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about engaging young music lovers in a way that gets them excited about music. And there's a lot of things that companies can do, social media for one. MIT Cables is a good example of that. They've harnessed social media in a great way. Another way is technical partnerships. And one that I was really excited about was to see that Wadia and QSonics teamed up. And John, I wanted you to talk a little bit about that and what was behind that and what's going on with it and what do you expect in the future.
So our company, Wadia Digital, is a company that's mostly known for creating D-Day converters, digital to analog converters, high performance, digital audio, really that's how we think of ourselves. And we've been focusing on that space for many, many years, actually 22 years. And you know, you can get pretty good at something if you really focus at it. And we've got a team of engineers who are, you know, that know that subject matter inside and out. And we kind of took a look around and we said there's a lot of digital file formats out there, and there's a need to be able to create, you know, seamless user interfacing and organize the experience and create a better experience. And we looked at how can we, as a company that's really limited in our focus on high-performance digital audio, learn this whole new software-based world of media file management to try to anticipate where things may go in the future with higher resolution file formats, et cetera. And we looked at all the companies available, and we thought we want to find a partnership. Instead of trying to learn another discipline ourselves internally, we wanted to structure a relationship with somebody who could complement us and create a synergy that would allow us to both maximize our strengths and stay focused on what we're good at. And we found a wonderful partner in QSonics, just an incredibly talented team of developers who really have a very, very strong software background and knowledge in basically database management, file management, media server management, user interfacing. And we discussed with them a collaboration that would allow us to add what we're good at, which is the digital audio portion or the performance side of the audio solution. And through that collaboration, complement each other and really try to create products that would create a future for high performance digital audio in this emerging new world of you know, media files and music management. And so we're very, very excited about it. It's going well so far. And but I think that the thing that really, you know, I can attest to is that it is collaboration and synergies, having other people with expertise participate with you in helping to find ways to develop these future technologies that will help us evolve and grow our industry.
So yeah, that was a great example of what I've been talking about, you know, which is partnering up with a company that doesn't necessarily specialize in what you do, but you specialize in something that they need. And, you know, you work to the betterment of the industry in both companies. And speaking of that, in terms of just looking at not only the future, but it's really the present. Steve, I've been really psyched to see Audioquest ads about USB audio and the way it's been laid out. You know, I think recently on the last couple of back pages of Taz and maybe even Stereophile, and yeah, you guys seem to be really tackling that. So where do you see that going for you guys?
I think we see iTunes is the gateway for people to get involved in high-end audio.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know, there's with the phrase hitch your wagon to a winning horse.
Yeah.
And iTunes is winning the race. It's the #1 retailer of music in the world today, and it's still MP3s, but that'll change over time. And
sure, and they support high res too, and so that's okay.
Yeah, you can download something from HD Tracks and you can add it into iTunes. But when the iTunes business model was developed, it was developed around 64K modems,
sure,
and a terabyte cost $52,000. And so that whole landscape has changed. And so eventually,
come down a little bit, yeah.
It's come down a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
So that whole business model is going to continue to evolve for iTunes. And if Apple sees people buying high-resolution music from somebody other than themselves, they're going to want to get into that game because they're in the business of making money. So iTunes, to me, is the future of high-end audio. When I started working in this industry, a guy that used to work for Wadia, Jim Shannon, told me that the definition of high-end audio is taking what's accepted by the masses and making it the best that it can be.
Oh, I like that. Okay,
right, so,
I'll take that.
So we had turntables, and then turntables were replaced by cassette decks, and then cassette decks were replaced by CD players. And each step of the way, there was somebody like Lynn that came out with an LP12, or Nakamichi that came out with a Dragon, or Wadia that came out with the Model 6 and the Model 9. And so now you're seeing products from people like Gordon Rankin that attach to a computer, and products like the Air product, and a number of other products. And those are the products that are succeeding, because those products speak to a lot of different people. And now you're seeing the MHT DAC.
HRT?
HRT, it's
I don't know anything about that.
$200.
$149.95 starts.
$149.
Like I said, I don't know anything about that.
It's okay. So now you're making a product that's approachable for somebody that's in college,
Absolutely.
and you're
right.
giving them much higher performance. And then it's the iPod. You know, the iPod is just a portable hard drive.
Yep.
And there's 30 pins on there, and you can either use the SPDIF pins on there, or you can use the USB pins on there and do asynchronous USB off of an iPod. That's where industry needs to be focused, is on stuff that's relevant to people who are a lot younger than us.
So speaking of that, Peter, I mean, you deal in, digital distribution. And your customers are coming to you, and the market, the DJ market, both of us having been vinyl DJs for many years, like I said, see a sea change in lots of vinyl DJs. You can't get a lot of new titles on vinyl. So you got to play it, unfortunately, on a Pioneer CDJ or something. But you guys do offer, unlike other smaller sites, like WAV files, for example. And, what's been the response to that? And I also understand that you've picked up some pretty big artists and big labels recently.
Well, for DJs, obviously playing high quality files at at high volume is important. You need to be able to move the crowd, and that's the kind of resolution that a WAV file offers. It is a decent part of our business, but it's not huge. But it's something that we do offer, and we are actually moving towards a new marketing campaign for the fall, or at least around the holiday season. Sort of pushing that, pushing the fact that we have waves. And while it's if you search the store or you shop the store, it's obvious that we do sell WAV files, but you know how it is. Sometimes you have to put things in people's faces and kind of remind them that even though that little buy WAV button has been right in front of them for ages, they're just not paying attention. But in terms of big new labels and artists and things like that, we finally completed deals with Warner Music Group and EMI, and are in the process of working with the rest of the majors. So lots of major label content will be finally getting on the store. So things like Kraftwerk, other hip hop titles, like classic hip hop titles, things like that will be on the store, available at WAV resolution. So it's pretty exciting.
So you speak about, too, it's hard to educate somebody on something unless you put it in front of their face. And I consider a big part of this whole thing, like the future of hi-fi, there's a little site on the internet, headfi.org. I think they're a good, sizable site. And what you guys do there is great, because you engage people in a message board type environment. Jude, and tell me, how did you get there? What's spawned that idea in your head to get behind that and launch that?
Actually, there was already an existing headphone forum, and they were just underfunded, called Headwise, and I offered to host it, but didn't work out. So we started Headfi, and it's grown since the iPod came out a lot, because now everybody's putting headphones in their ears all the time. Usually they're the white came with it. I call them the came with it headphones. Yeah. And that's what most people have. And actually, I had an exercise once where I actually lost count. I was in an airport and I wanted to count how many white earbuds I saw, starting from the moment I got out of the car and walked all the way to the terminal, and it literally was in the hundreds. And so we're right now, Headfi is reaching about 750,000 people a month, and growing.
Mazel tov.
Yeah, man. It's and they're talking about high-end headphone audio, and that it's not all super expensive, but you got to get the young people interfacing with gear and caring about sound. And the way the young people listen to music today, I'm 40, and I go to the audio shows, and I feel like a youngster. And
Amen.
But on HeadFi, I mean, I would guess 90% of our audience is 18 to 35, and you need to get. I mean, how many people do we see? They're longtime audiophiles, and then you talk to them about how they got into it. I mean, a lot of these people started at 15, 16, Heathkit, building it many years ago, and you don't once you're exposed to good sound, you don't really get out. You don't all of a sudden put the white earbuds back in and then you're okay with it again. It's impossible. You can't go back. And so audiophiles they're kind of addicted to it. But we've got to expose a newer audience. And it hasn't always been just headphones for me. I worked in high-end audio retail when I was in college. And I've been into audio since, I don't know if you guys remember Julian. Now I'm dating myself. Julian Hirsch Stereo Review. Yeah, I used to read that when I was 13. So, we have to get the gear in front of the good sound in front of the young people. And then once they're exposed, but it's gonna. I hate to say it, but it's gonna probably come through headphones. And as far as speakers go, if it doesn't sit on a desktop, like Audio Engine,
And it's an entry point,
Yep.
right? And I think you agree that I often tell people the same guy that's going to spend the, $200 on a USB DAC and $400 or $500 on a pair of speakers now, and gets bit by that audio bug. He gets an emotional response from music. He'll be the same guy when he gets a good job and gets settled. He'll buy whatever it is, Wilson's and VTL or a diverter.
Yeah, one of the more interesting things, John Schaffer from Wadia, he's in Michigan with me, and one day one of the HeadFi members had the idea to host a meet at the Wadia headquarters, and they don't make anything for headphones at the time, certainly nothing that would have been for a headphone system, and so I called John out of the blue. He was the VP at the time, and I said, we'd like to have a headphone meet at your place, and he thought we were nuts. But we had it, and it turned out to be a great success, and he's hosted like 3 of them since, and they ended up making a product for the iPod, the iTransport, which turned the iPod into a sort of mini media server.
The first?
Yeah, the first to take digital out of an iPod, but the iPod was really where we grew. Because on HeadFi we would see 100 people online at a time, 25, 50 people, and then after a while, now it's not unusual to see 1,500 or 2,000 or more on the site. So yeah. Yeah. But thanks, guys. But so that's HeadFi.
I'd like to pipe in here, and I think the bigger issue is while Jude is reaching out and is bringing in people who are the kids are into HeadFi, iPods and so on and all that, which is fantastic because that's really where it starts. But then my thought is, okay, we have this great iTunes, at Apple, but how many of those people know about Audioquest? And how many people know about Wadia? And I mean, that's like the untapped market. That's really where the future is. If you could tap into iTunes and get 1% of the people hitting iTunes every day buying Audioquest, you guys would be like rocking, right? Same thing with Wadia. It's getting those kids to buy the iPod dock. So how is that we reach out to those people? Because that's where it is. Audio Engine's there. Creating. Michael's worked with PFO a lot on how to broaden who we reach to, and we've really grown dramatically in the last couple of years through that. We've seen our numbers really dramatically increase. But I'm kind of like, I always look at PFO, and I'm like, I'm probably the oldest person up here on the board. Sitting up here, I'm 56, and I'm walking around with music that, Mercer's getting turned on to. And it's like, dude, where'd you get that?
Admittedly.
Yeah, and, it's like, dude, where'd you get that? It's like, oh, yeah. And so, but that's just because I grew up differently than most audiophiles. I came from the punk side. That's where my wife and I were all into when we were, first getting married. We didn't come home till 4:30 because we're at punk clubs doing stuff, and I used to work at a punk club. So I kind of came from that side of the music, so I've always had that, give me an edge, don't give me, this or this. I'm always looking for that other side. But I find my frustration is my son has come to these, and he's 22 now, and, an issue of that is he's walked around with his stuff, and people refuse to play it. Like, I'm not going to play that. It's not accepted. It's not audio music. I'm like, yeah, but he's going to graduate from college, and he's going to want to buy stuff. And he's going to want to come to these shows to hear your product, and you're not willing to play his stuff. Now, interestingly enough, he's now starting to like a lot of stuff I like, and he's kind of moving away from the hardcore side. But then again, he's a big MP3 downloader until he realized that his stuff is available on vinyl, and now he has a turntable, and he's buying everything on vinyl. So, you know, it's interesting to see that, but he's more music and less about gear. So I just wanted to bring that out.
No. I mean, I thought that last night, you know, him being my mentor and dear friend, I'm not just, you know, plugging him. What I loved about Harry's talk last night was that he emphasized the fact that most of us who are writing about this stuff got to get back to the music as the passion point. We love music. Everything else is just the vehicle to it, right? I hope. You know, speaking of that, about a year and a half ago, admittedly, I was a huge skeptic on whether or not a USB cable could make a difference. Because, you know, those of us that have been in this business a while, and even at 35, I literally grew up in this business, you tend to look at some hot new trend and go, well, is that really, you know, does that really do anything, or are people just, you know, catching on? And Mr. Lee Weiland over there of Locus Design and cryoparts.com took it upon himself to write to me, and he sent me some products, including his cables, and we had a pretty funny correspondence, which consisted of, Lee, I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to try it. I don't think it's going to make a difference. And he just wrote back saying, just plug it in, man. And I wrote back like, well, I'm not going to say what I said. But
I dare
but
you.
it kind of changed my outlook forever on that. And yeah, talk a little bit about your process, Lee, because you're one of the few, or maybe the only, who gets up and handcrafts his products.
Well, I don't want to talk about my companies too much, but I make very high-end USB cables, from entry level to very high-end USB cables. The reason I started doing that is I recognized a few years ago that the way the industry is going is pretty soon there's not going to be any vinyl, and there's not going to be any CDs. I've been doing this for 25 years. This is the biggest opportunity for change I've ever seen in this industry.
Thank you.
It's just, it is what it is, guys. We all love vinyl. We all love CDs. But how long do we want to fight over the same 300 customers that are left in 10 years? We just can't do it. We've got to expand our base, and we've got to get the young people from Jude's site that are interested in good sound and they're interested in the new music. Somehow we have to infect them with the disease. So I recognize that USB and computer downloading and music playback via computer is the wave of the future, and therefore I came up with these USB cables because I was experimenting and found out there was a difference, and then came up with a bunch of stuff and came out with all these cables. And as part of that, I have a couple different visions of what the future's going to be like. Is I want to get the young people involved, and by doing that, we need inexpensive but good sounding products. HRT, Audio Engine, the myriad of under $500 USB DACs that are out right now. Many things like that. And so, part of my vision is to take Jude's crowd, get these guys into a decent sounding desktop system, because once they hear that, they're not going to go back to the crappy plastic speakers. And so they're going to hear that, and they're going to grow, and they're going to stop downloading MP3s. They're going to start downloading high-res files. And as more people download high-res files, we're going to be able to have more high-res files. The market is just so small right now that it's not an effective or profitable business model for iTunes to care about it. They don't care.
Right.
Or the labels, yeah. And especially the labels, yeah. And my other vision is to come up with, as people grow and they're building their high-end systems, is a USB solution out of a computer can sound as good as the best vinyl or the best CD. And believe me, I didn't believe that 2 years ago, but it can be done. And there's some products on the horizon coming up. Probably Wadia is working on some stuff. There's a bunch of other people working on some stuff. My closest friend is one of the premier high-speed digital designers in the world. I've got him working on stuff. And so it is possible right now to get the same quality of sound you're used to out of a top-flight audio system, a top-flight analog-based or CD-based system out of a computer, and we're only at the cusp. We're just starting out. Imagine what it'll be 5 years from now when the chip manufacturers catch up.
Yeah.
So, anyways, there it is.
Well, and I think a big part of reaching, young people has to do with, and people, I know, skulk at it and what have you, but let me put it this way. My father, at 63 years of age, said to me about a week ago, "Son, we just don't talk enough." And I said, "Well, join Facebook." And not just join Facebook because it wasn't that I didn't want to talk to him, but if you join, you'll get to see what I'm doing without us picking up the phone. So there are all sorts of social media outlets available, and not only are they there, but the great thing about them now is they aggregate. Meaning, so when I write an article for the Daily Swarm, which is a top music industry news site, music site, that same article gets picked up by all these other websites, right? And I like to tell people, look, if you own an audio company and you don't want to get involved in social media, when you go home and you turn on the television, is everyone familiar with Tempur-Pedic mattresses? Have you been killed by watching those freaking ads over and over? Do you know what they've been saying lately? Two things. First, it started by saying they stopped talking about their web page altogether, and they say, visit us on Facebook. Match.com did the same thing. And Sears, same thing. And so you can do all this, and you can do it in a way, you can approach it the same way you would approach an advertisement in a magazine. You can control your message, and you can reach more people, with one click, And I want Peter, a big part of, what Beatport manages to do is reach out to all sorts of labels all over the globe, and get them into a central place. And
well, yeah, that's part of what we do as a music store is help labels market their product on the store, but it's also our responsibility to get traffic into the store for people to buy,
sure, yeah,
buy content. So we have a social media team. When Beatport first started almost 7 years ago, it was a way different landscape out there. We were doing print ads and things like that to create awareness for the company and for the store. But now it's all Twitter, it's all Facebook. It's all doing targeted email blasts to our customers, things like that, and working with other labels to again exploit their content, in a way where, okay, we're going to do a sale for this particular label, this week, and we're going to offer it 20% off, and anyone who puts this coupon code into the shopping cart as they check out of the store, they're instantly going to get 20% off on whatever they bought from Ovum Recordings that week or that shopping session.
Free promotional tool.
Well, absolutely. It's a way to engage a community, and connect with them. And that's in many ways that's what people want. The way that marketing has changed, in the music business, in many ways. You don't even need a label anymore. Artists can go and do it themselves and connect with their fans, and companies in this industry can do the same thing. It's connecting with the people who are passionate about their products or passionate about high-end audio, and develop that and have that kind of rock solid connection with them. So if you want to offer a product up for a discount. Or you're looking and saying, well, we haven't sold a whole lot of these, this month. Let's do a flash sale and do a quick discount. You can bang it out to Twitter or Facebook or however you want to have that structured, and drive sales. because you have a captive audience right there in the palm of your hand that with one click you can connect with them.
And they've already told you by following you essentially that they're interested in your
Absolutely.
product. So it's not like you're sending out 2,000 emails or whatever to people and you're hoping they like your product.
I mean, how many here are engaged in social media? Twitter, Facebook, MySpace. See, show hands. Okay.
See,
yeah.
And
there's not to interrupt, but there is a Facebook just for audio, which is called Audio Evo. Yeah, great site. It's basically Facebook, and everything's just centered around music and whatever. Manufacturers have pages on there that they can interact with their customers and clients and dealers and whatnot, and post updates and so on, just very much like on Facebook as well. So it's a great way to disseminate, and that's my point of getting that out there and connecting to this bigger audience. Because once you're on, you're in Facebook, any kid doing, I want to find something about this, all of a sudden, here's Wadia popping up, here's Audioquest popping up, and they're like, I don't know what that is, and they click on it. And they're thinking, oh, gee, I didn't know that this stuff was out here. Oh, I need a USB cable. Oh, they do that? Oh, cool. And all of a sudden they're locked into Audioquest, and you get that kind of brand loyalty going on, and they work their way up, which is kind of the way I would like to see things happening. So
the interface is very clean. It's audioevo.org, and just before Steve, I know you want to get in here, and John, I want to engage you in something else, and we got a lot of people up here, so be patient with us, please. But I think what's great about sites like Audio Evo is it's community-based in terms of it's not full of people telling other people they don't know what they're doing, and telling other people they can't hear, and telling other people my product is better than yours. What it's based around is community, is driving everything forward together. Because look, no product, whether it's yours or Lee's or anybody, there's no one product that's for everybody. So everybody can win here, I think. But I think Steve wanted to chime in for a moment.
There's a new Facebook. So yesterday, there's Apple's obviously paying attention to Facebook and the social media phenomenon, and they just launched a new update to iTunes, and one of the features they added was Ping. So Ping allows you to get your friends, your network in a group, and you can see what one another are listening to for music. So your friends can see what music you like. You can see what music your friends like, and what friends your friends like. So you're going to see a variation on Facebook from iTunes. But we're talking about new media, right? That's the topic. Who likes 24.96? Who likes 24.192? Go buy Blu-ray discs. Deutsche Grammophon puts out all of their concerts at 24.96 2-channel PCM. They sound spectacular. And John Mayer just put out a great Blu-ray disc.
Yeah, that was
It's
great.
24.96. And so another copy of Kinda Blue at 24.96 or Jazz at the Pawn Shop isn't going to attract new people to our industry. It's a shock. I know I'm a heretic now, but it's things like John Mayer and what's his name from Hawaii, the singer from Hawaii.
I can't pronounce
Jack Johnson.
Jack
Johnson
of course.
just put out a 24.96 Blu-ray. That's right. But the other thing is the media, like you said, is changing. Media is going to be free. There's nothing in it for the artists anymore. There's only one artist under the age of 40 that can sell out a football stadium. It's Lady Gaga. There's nobody else under 40 that can sell out a football stadium. So you have all these semi-big artists like Ray LaMontagne, and I don't know, maybe he gets 5 cents an album, and he sells 200,000 copies.
And a decent lawyer, sure.
He gets 5 cents an album, and he sells 200,000 copies, or he goes to Red Rocks and he makes $350,000 in one night. So he doesn't care if you buy his album. He wants you to go to archive.org, which is part of the National Library. Yep. He wants you to download as many free concerts as you can. And he wants
music. I'm sorry. Music is just the carrot, at the end of the stick to all these other things.
Right. I'm just talking about new media, and so new media is free media. So you can go to, if you don't know about archive.org, you should go check out that site.
You really should. It's great.
It's got a great search engine. You can look for your favorite artists. Not every artist is giving away concerts for free, but you'll be surprised at how many artists are giving away these concerts for free. And then the other thing that's become really popular is podcasts, like KEXP and NPR. They have phenomenal in-studio concerts that you can download for free. Some of them you can only listen to. Some of them you can listen to and you can watch. But to me, that's where the new media is coming from. It's coming from social groups like Facebook and Ping. It's coming for free from Archive and from NPR, and there'll be premium stuff to buy on Blu-ray if you want high resolution.
Yeah, and talking about Apple, I mean, they were, we all know, they make smart moves, but Lila was the company previous, Lala was Ping before, and for people that would thumb their nose at a concept like that, well, the favorite person that I follow on Ping is Rick Rubin, who is constantly on Ping talking about artists that he likes and check this out. So, I mean, if Rick's on there, I think it adds just a little bit of credibility, right? But another part of, new media and the things we're talking about are products that, we'll get back to this, are entry points to this new media, meaning the hardware itself. And like John, the Power DAC Mini, which is new, basically gives you a system, am I correct, minus the speakers, right? Get the DAC. So speak a little bit about that and how that's looking so far.
Mike's talking about a product that we recently brought out that we're calling the Power DAC Mini, but the concept was when the iTransport, which some of you are probably familiar with, became very popular, and that's the device that helps you pull digital audio off of an iPod or an iPhone, and now the iPad. When that became very popular, one of the things that people liked was the form factor. And we started to recognize that we were thinking about our products kind of in the conventional sense of, big rectangular or square boxes. They didn't really appeal to what we saw as kind of an emerging potential audiophile. And so we thought, well, we don't want to call it a lifestyle product, but let's make form factor not be the problem here. Let's try to overcome that. And also, let's take our digital performance audio chops and see if we can make something that's more accessible to create a path to bring more people into what we do and celebrate it. So give them a form factor that more people can be comfortable with, it's not intrusive in their life and in their households. And then also just, show them that, for not a significant investment, you can get a super high performance level and have a better experience. Yeah. Yeah, it has so features. It's a little amplifier, DAC amplifier that has 4 digital inputs and a nice robust output stage, and really sounds wonderful. But the point is not that product. The point is that as an industry, we have to get outside of our own boxes, figuratively. We have to look at form factor. We have to look at, the pricing. We have to pay attention to providing building blocks for people to step into this industry that we're so passionate about, and to give them the ability to connect with music and celebrate performance audio, but in a way that's a little bit more accessible. So, we're trying to reach out and do that. A lot of people are. Mike, the company he's working for, is doing a fantastic job of that. And that's something that I think is also going to be an important part about building our future.
Yeah, we still need to get people using the hardware. I mean, that we're talking about the industry, because the kids are exposed to all sorts of music today. You have Pandora. I mean, they're finding music. They're listening to music, but they're just happy to do it with the white earbuds. I mean, that's really ultimately one of the issues as far as if we're talking about the audiophile industry. So we have to get them. Call me biased, but I know these kids are all using headphones. And actually, there's Mark from the Colorado Audio Society back there. He's been an audiophile for years. So even the veteran audiophiles, they walk into, if you guys haven't been into the Can Jam room, which is right behind you.
Check it out.
Yeah, you should, because Mark went in there last year. He's back there, I see him. He was in there last year, and he came in and he said, man, this is like the most excited I've been about audio in at least 10 years when he heard what some of the new headphone systems are doing. It's it can be affordable. It doesn't have to be affordable because some of our stuff.
No, but it's a good entry
really,
point.
Yeah.
And yeah. And I hate to cut you off, but I think I wanted to make this a little bit conversational too with the audience. So if someone has a question, they want to pose it to anyone up here about what we're talking about, what we think, if we sound like a bunch of idiots, whatever you want to say.
Let me
do we
say
have
one,
a mic?
Let me say one more thing, Mercer.
Sure.
Companies like John, Wadia, I don't sell Wadia products, so I'm pretty unbiased on the matter. They're going to be successful long term because they have, from an entry-level product like that Power DAC, because as Steve brought out, you can download all this stuff, but you can listen to it through little crappy speakers, or do you want to listen to it through something decent? So they have an entry-level product, and then as their income grows and they grow as an audiophile, they can work their way up the line. And that's what we, as I'll speak from a retailer and a manufacturer perspective, is we have to get out of our comfort zone and realize people don't play by the same rules we played by 15 years ago. They play by a whole different set of rules, and we got to get our minds around how these young kids think if we want to survive. Otherwise, we're
going to mimic the music industry.
Well, audiophiles are getting old. Look at me, I'm not going to be here that much longer, and that's what I'm saying.
Please, don't say that up here, man. Come on. Don't get morose all of a sudden. We're being
But
positive.
what I'm saying is it's going to be the same 400 manufacturers fighting over this continually smaller and smaller group. Anyways, that's all I had.
Alan? Yeah.
Alan.
Think about this. Exactly what you're saying.
Hold on, Alan. They can hear you back there, I don't think.
Is it on? Yes, it is. Think about how we create loyalty, either from a reseller or as a manufacturer. What you're doing with Wadia is obviously phenomenal, but how do you, if someone's buying an entry-level system, how are they then informed 2 years down the road when there's something better or more expensive or going up in level? Think about that, and Lee, why don't you address that, because you deal with a lot of people like I do. And we all get busy, we're working on a new this or a new that. How do we let people know, hey, we've got a new this or a new that? We have to follow up. Talk about that.
Well, that would be a great place for social media. Social, the old way we would do it is we would have a mailing list and we'd mass email everybody, and maybe 5% would read of it and 2% would act if you're really lucky. Yeah. But the new way is you do either social media, and you can post, hey, I'll pimp my company just a little bit here. Like the Diverter, which is a USB to SPDIF device that was very, very successful product, very high-end, very successful. Coming out with a new version, it will be announced through social media, and not through my website and everything like that too, but through social media as well, because that does a couple different things. You're not limited to your mailing list and the people who get your mailing list, and they're not going to read it anyways, but Google's going to pick that up. Google's going to pick all that up, and anybody that's searching is going to see, Newsflash or whatever. And at least that's how I think it's going to be done in the future. I mean, the old way of marketing.
John, can you address that as well?
That would be my answer. I think that one of the things that we've been, this is an evolution for all of us, and you can, there are certain things that that we have to learn about and force ourselves to jump into, and social media is something that we've actually been very slow to embrace and get involved in. And it's a resource question, more than anything else. Cultural, we have some limitations, and also resource. But we're, I recognize, or at least I believe, that is the emerging vehicle to best develop the community and strengthen the community and interact with the community that's already made the determination that they're willing to invest in our brand. And, one of the things that we have to look at is how can we stay connected directly to our customers and how can they become a part of our process and we can become a part of their celebration of audio. And I think that the social media models that are emerging are the perfect vehicle, and that's just what we have to learn. And as an industry, we're going to have to, work together to achieve that, to accomplish that. So that would be my answer.
Jeff, Mr. Cap.
Thank you. I've had my audio website up for about a year in LA, and has anybody been able to get more eyes on their website through social media? And if so, what are they doing that's helping them get those eyes and be more successful? Because I haven't figured out, because most people, in my opinion, on Facebook are not looking for solutions. They're looking for people that are like, oh, can you help me, with some social things that are going to help the environment? And I don't know how we reach those people with audio equipment or music. That's my question.
Okay, well, first, Facebook, like anything else, is a tool, and the first to let you know is that there are tons of people on there that are into audio, and all you got to do is search certain groups. Reference Recording's got a great page. Wilson's got a great page. There's lots of other pages. The Rocky Mountain Audio Fest page did very well. And if you want to raise iShare, Jeff, what you do is you get with someone, Cloud Social, or you get with a small outfit that's reasonably priced who will educate you on how to raise iShare by doing things like search engine optimization, meaning like if someone's in LA or anywhere else for that matter, and they search for a product, for example, my old boss up at Soundscape in Santa Rosa was very good at this. They'd search for a certain product, he'd be the first one to pop up. And also on your website, you have to make your website more interactive, meaning it's not just pages to read. You got to make it interactive. You got to create a discussion. And then that aggregates to other sites and other people pick it up. Steve, you want to expound on that?
There's a company from Raleigh, North Carolina called NetSertive, and they do web search optimization only for the audio industry. And there are a number of retailers in the United States.
What was it called again? I'm sorry.
Netsertive.com.
Okay, great. Okay.
And their business is only the audio industry. And what they do is they partner with retailers or social sites or manufacturers or combinations to aggregate and drive readers to a particular site. So how they would work is, let's say you're in Denver and you're on Audio Asylum and you type in B&W speakers. Well, Listen Up uses NetSertive to do their web search optimization. So an ad will pop up if you're on Audio Asylum and you see an ad and it's a B&W ad and it says come audition at Listen Up. And so sites like yours can use things like NetSertive. So if you're in Los Angeles, somebody's in Los Angeles, if you want to target just a region, you can target the whole country or the whole world if you want. But you come up with a list of optimization words or phrases. And when somebody types those words or phrases in, then you'll pop up in different places on the Google search site. So there is an expert in our industry for this particular category called NetSertive.
Thank you. I'm going to check them out.
That's great, Steve. Thank you.
This is more marketing, which is kind of off topic, but Jeff, it's working in social media as part of your strategy. Like Mercer said, it's just a tool. You have to have a full-fledged marketing effort to drive business to your website. Social media being one of them. You can post updates. A certain number of those people may or may not go to your website. But this company he's talking about is probably something to look into. But that's more marketing, so I don't want to go on and on about it.
Okay, so Mr. Levens.
Yes, sir.
You had your hand up.
Oh, yeah. You know me. I got about 28 things to say, and I'll attempt to limit it to 3 or 4.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man. We're going to hire you.
Yeah, I know.
Does that count as one of them? No.
First off, what Lee has said is absolutely correct. This is the biggest freaking opportunity that has ever come to the audio industry, the music industry. I'm 54 years old. I've worked in the audio industry since I was 16. The next time I hear some fat old bloated faggot like me say something about that the audio industry is dying, that everything's going away, I want to take him out in the hallway and punch him.
Can we like create a Grammy for him? An Oscar, I'm sorry. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I get a little worked up about this.
Okay, you go.
Thank you. Second of all, Steve-O mentions iTunes being the entry portal. Obviously that's true, but it's not just iTunes by itself, it's Apple as an entry portal. You look at Apple products, you look at a certain level of competence, a certain level of quality of production that people are now accustomed to at a certain price point. Now, if you think they're willing to spend $2,500 on a cinema monitor from Apple, get used to that level of quality, are they really going to buy some $39 plastic Altec speakers to go with it? I don't think so. One point here, a couple years ago when I was working a room at CES for a Finnish speaker manufacturer called Amphion, which is well known for making very high quality near-field monitors, small speakers like a desktop system along the line of the audio engine, a little higher upscale in price range. I went out in the hallway and saw Victor Tiscareno, who's the head of audio for Apple. And as people who know me know, or you might have guessed by now, I'm quite capable of actually putting my arm around somebody's shoulder and corralling them into a room, which I did to Victor Tiscareno, who looked like he was being kidnapped. And I said, Victor, you've got to see these. These speakers are absolutely perfect in terms of styling, in terms of performance to go with Apple products. I brought him in. He was blown away by the product. And he says they're $1,200. I said, yes, I know. And he says, people aren't going to pay $1,200 for speakers. I said, I think you're wrong. He said, well, whatever. And he disappeared. The good news is...
He was right and wrong.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
The good news is that in Apple stores in Europe, they're now selling Amphion speakers.
Oh my God.
So there are a number of entry portals, and it's not just software entry portals. It's hardware, it's retail outlets, and another revolution that has come along because of all this stuff is there are unlimited opportunities for small manufacturers these days that just weren't there a few days ago, a few weeks ago, a few years ago, whatever. Of course, I'm director of marketing for Audiogun, so I'm biased, but people are much more acclimated to buying online now. People are much more acclimated to buying direct, whether it's music or whether it's the hardware. And I'm sorry, but again, if I hear one more guy who's making Stonehenge-sized speakers bitch about the decline of his market, well, we've got this opportunity in front of us, something's going to blow.
No, I appreciate that, and as you know, I mean, it's a lot of what I write about. You're right, the entry point is on many levels, and the bottom line is, yeah, people are more inclined to shop online, but there are always going to be people, young and old, that prefer to go somewhere and experience service.
Right.
You know, and there's that too. So what I've been trying to say, and a lot of us are, and I know Dave has, and Lee, especially John, is that you don't necessarily, or not necessarily, you don't have to exclude or you don't have to bash someone else's product to talk about the virtues of your own.
Not at all.
And I hate to, again, repeat myself, but last year, when Harry and I spoke, I said, the one thing that I've observed growing up in this industry that it seems like whenever I come back to these shows, we've spent, well, I've been in this 19 years, so let's say I've watched for 19 years this industry preach to the already converted.
Exactly.
Right? So, and there's plenty of ways to reach new people. You know, Joseph Weiss, who now sits in my old seat, you know, for Harry's a great artist and a musician, and he talks about, you know, get some hot bands in, you know, do like a record release, except for, you know, I was going to do this in LA, get a band in, have them play songs off their new record, and then walk in the store and the new record's playing on a hi-fi. You know, there's all sorts of ideas that we have to look at and embrace. I mean, we all want to stick around and make money, right? No? Okay. So, I mean, Peter, just because I know we're coming down on time, but, you know, as someone who hasn't been so steeped in this, I mean, you, by osmosis, you've dealt with it with me for quite a long time. But
True.
What do you think, if you could surmise it, what do you think we need to do to reach them?
Well, I mean, I think we've been discussing that. You know, it's you know, engaging people via price point, connecting with them and creating a community, you know, once you've got them, and drawing them in further, because as we all kind of alluded to, well, except myself, so we all kind of alluded to on the panel when we introduced ourselves. I mean, Jude, as an example, he was like, "Well, I've been in this interested in good sound, since I was 13 years old." I mean, that's how you came to it. You found music that you really liked, and then you wanted it to sound good. And when you hear it sound amazing, you want that feeling again, just like, stuff, but Tracing the Dragon, or, that girl, or whatever, I mean, you want it to, like, sound good, you want it to feel good all the time, and you want that, it's like a drug, as we've, again, all kind of touched upon, so, it's, we're just really at a crossroads. I see that this industry, the music industry, the film industry, really at crossroads. And if we don't, respond to those challenges, it's all going to go away, or at least not, not the way that we knew it. So.
Right. Yeah.
I'll add something too. That I'm a small manufacturer. Leah's a small manufacturer. A number of people in the show are small manufacturers, but speaking to this new community, which we all have to join and be on board, I think it's also an excellent marketing idea that more and more of us collaborate.
Yes.
And I know Leah's done that with colleagues of his own. I've had things in the back of my mind to do, but we have to be also less territorial, and that's a hard thing to give up. And the not designed here attitude has to go. And I think I would be willing to, because I have an open mind, I would be willing to collaborate with another manufacturer who's ethical to bring a product to market. Because the idea is to market and do well. I personally want everybody to do well. I always, at every single show, I tell people I want everybody to do well. People ask me, "Oh, what do you think of this, and what do you think of that?" And you always hear, no, about one product or another. I want everybody to be successful, because if everybody's successful, everybody's successful. Simple as that. So there you go.
Yeah, and look, you can be big or small. Like, you working with Cusonics. I mean, I think it comes down to figure out what you're good at. Obviously there's going to be another manufacturer out there that's going to be good at something that you want to get into, that you maybe can't spend time into doing, like the music server with Cusonics, and you give them, you give them the better quality audio out. They give you the other part of it, and yeah, I mean, collaboration is something else that I've been, trying to enforce upon people. You're right, because this business is, dealers. It's very territorial, and the bottom line is, we got to start thinking more long term, because I hate to admit this, but I have a lot of friends that are, well, not twice my age. I'm 35 now, but they're significantly older than I. And a lot of them tell me, "You know what, Michael, I'm sick and tired of you," and I'm not making this up, "I'm sick and tired of you preaching about us reaching the youth market." "What are you talking about?" They said, "Well, I don't care, because I'm not going to be here." And I said, "Well, thanks a lot, man." I mean, it's a shame, that this great industry built around, experiencing great music at home, would die out because of an attitude like that. And that's what I think really has to change. There needs to be a change there. The business model has to change, just like the major labels. I mean, it's very odd, but, read up on what happened to the majors. We were there when the axe fell, and the same thing is happening here. I mean, literally. It's the same exact thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, in some ways, what seems to be happening here is akin to like when the major labels ignored Napster. I mean, if you want it always to be what it was, it's not necessarily going to. It's going to take on a life of its own and evolve, the way it's supposed to.
Okay, so do we have any other questions before we wrap this up? Because I know Harry's going, at 6:15? Anybody else? No? Okay, so I hope everyone had a good time. I want to thank everyone. I know we got it really crowded up here, and everyone didn't get a chance to speak as much as, we'd all like, but I hope you all enjoyed it. And if you come on up, talk to us. If you need help expanding your business, come talk to me. Come talk to anybody.